Hello and welcome along to this week's desk break yoga session. I've got one of the cats with me today, so if you're picking up any purring on the sound, then that'll be why, or if there's a ginger tail walks across in front of the screen. Anyway, welcome. Today's session is going to be a little bit of a workout and a work-in for the hips. So that's going to be our focus today, often a little bit of a sticky point if you spend a lot of time sitting down. So hopefully this session will give you a little bit of relief. So let's start off today, as always, sitting up nice and tall on your chair. And as always, just take the things that we go through today as suggestions and do adapt them to suit you. So starting up, sitting nice and tall, come to the edge of your chair so that you're using your back muscles to support you rather than leaning back on the chair. And sitting up nice and tall, close the eyes, and then start to bring your attention inwards. Having a quick check-in with the body, taking a couple of nice deep breaths. And then I'm going to invite you to just bring your attention to your sitting bones. So hopefully, as you're sitting here, you can feel the bony parts of the pelvis on the chair. Now, if you can't feel that, maybe you're just on a soft chair or something like that. Or if you have got a little bit of extra padding around the buttocks, you can always shift it out of the way a little bit. Just so you can get a good contact there, and see if you can feel your weight nicely balanced from one side of the pelvis to the other. And once you find that point of balance, use that to kind of lift up out of, again, see if you can get a little bit more length through the crown of the head. And just bringing that little bit of awareness to the hips. If they are speaking to you, just use that as information as we move through the session today. So let's begin with some seated cat and cow stretches. I'm just turning to the side so that you can see me. So from sitting up tall, we're going to start by rocking forwards on the pelvis. So coming onto the front of those sit bones, lifting the chest, lifting the face, and then rocking onto the back of the sitting bones, tucking the chin in, rounding through the spine. So really today, trying to have that movement come from the hips. So the thing that starts the movement is rocking onto the front of the pelvis and onto the back of the pelvis, front of those sitting bones and the back of those sitting bones. And really imagining this movement kind of warming up through that hip socket. But then also we're warming up the spine as well. Just getting everything moving a little bit. So we'll take one more round of this movement. So the next time the head's down, we'll make that our last one. And then let's come back to center. Now from here, we're going to come up to standing. And we'll start off with some just warm-ups really for the hips. So feel free to use your chair or wall or something like that as a little bit of support, and take your weight over onto one foot, and then we're just going to make some circles with the other knee. Now again, as I say, maybe visualizing getting right into that hip socket, getting a bit of movement there, lubricating that joint. And we'll take those circles in the opposite direction. And then pop that foot down, and then we'll go to the other side. So you can either come to the other side of your chair or turn around if you're using the wall. Bring the other hand to support there. And then taking the weight this time over onto the right leg. Don't worry if you did it the other way around, as long as you've done both sides, that's fine. And making some nice big circles there with the hips. If you get a little bit of clicking, don't worry. It's just a sign that you're getting everything moving. And then whichever way you've been going, go in the opposite direction. There, maybe have a little bit of a shake out. And then from here, now we've warmed up the hips a little bit, we are going to go into a standing dancer posture, which is the balance and also a nice opener for the front of the hip flexors here. So standing up nice and tall to begin with, weight nicely balanced across both feet. If you want to support, you might want to have it on your left-hand side. Then let's take your weight over onto your left leg. And then we're going to lift the right foot up behind you. Now, if you can, see if you can grab hold of that right foot in some way, maybe grabbing your trouser leg, your sock, maybe you can grab the foot, the ankle. If you're really struggling to get hold of it, you can use your chair. So you can pop your foot on your chair like this, and that'll be a good alternative. So wherever you're working with that foot, and then see if you can bring your knees in alignment. So this right knee is probably forward a little bit. See if you can bring it down to lined up with the other knee. And then from there, think about lengthening up, rolling the shoulders back and down, lifting up through the chest. And if you're feeling confident in your balance, you might take your left hand and reach it up. But really the focus of this is opening up through that right hip flexor here in the front of that right hip. So maybe you might even take the knee a little bit further back if that feels okay, but don't overdo it because we haven't warmed up very much. And then let's pop that down. Then we're going to swap to the other side. So again, you might want to have your support on your right hand side if you're using it. And then I'm just going to turn around just so that I'm not moving everything around for the camera. So taking your weight this time over onto your right foot, lifting up the left foot, grabbing it where you can, putting it on the chair. If you can't reach it, foot, whatever you can, see how you get on. And then if you've got hold of your foot, see if you can bring that knee back so that it's in alignment with the other side, with the right hand side. Then if your balance feels okay here, you might take that right arm and lift it up. As I say, don't go for the arm, don't go for the balance if it compromises this stretch on the left hip, because that's what we're really going for here, opening up that left hip. When you sit down a lot, this muscle here, this hip flexor, can get really tight. So it's good to open it out a bit. Okay, well done. So let's pop that down, and then just to kind of even things out, let's just take some circles with the hips as if you were kind of hula hooping here. Bend your knees, taking the hips in some nice big circles. And then let's come back down to sitting. So come back to sitting. Again, we're at the edge of the seat rather than lounging back against the back of the seat. And we're going to come into a seated version of Pigeon Pools, which I know is one of my friend Jane's favorite stretches, this one. So this one's for you, Jane. So let's bring the right foot, up on top of the left knee. Although to be honest, we're going to do both sides. It doesn't matter which side you've gone to, first of all. Don't worry if your knee feels like it's really up here. It's just a process. If you're really struggling to get your foot up on your knee, you can always do this with the foot crossed lower down. But if you got your foot up on your knee, then let's just think about very gently. As I say, it doesn't matter if you start up here, but we're just going to gently encourage that right knee to come down a little bit, to open out. And then from there, checking in with the hips. And again, like we did at the beginning, just making sure that your weight is evenly balanced across both sitting bones here, that you haven't kind of gone with your knee over to the side. Just gently encouraging that right knee down. And then maybe if you feel like you want a little bit more, you might start to lean forwards a little bit over that knee. But that really is completely optional, just depending on your body. Now you'll probably feel this as quite an intense stretch, either on the outside of the right hip or the inside of the right thigh. Everybody's a little bit different. If it's feeling twingy in your knee, then just back off. And then let's come back up to center. Then we'll take that over to the other side. So this time we're bringing the left ankle up on top of the right knee. And then gently, very gently, you know, we're not just shoving here, just very gently, maybe encouraging that left knee down a little bit. And then if it feels okay in your body and right for you today, and maybe right for you on this side, everybody's very lopsided, so you might find it feels different one side and the other. Maybe leaning forwards a little way over that left knee, just accentuating that hip, that stretch all around here. Maybe you might feel it a little bit in the lower back. Just don't overdo it. Keeping the head lifted as if you were looking in a pond, trying to see your reflection in a pond on the ground in front of you. And then let's come back up, back round. And then we'll just finish off today with a nice hip opener and a nice relaxing posture as well, a seated forward fold. So let's, again, we're right on the edge of the chair, weight balance across those two sitting bones. Take your knees wide apart. And then to begin with, we'll just come forwards with the elbows onto the knees, and then see how that is today. Let the crown of the head go. So tuck your chin into your chest and just let the head really hang down so you're lengthening through the back of the neck. Then maybe if that feels okay, maybe you take the hands down to the floor. And noticing here for most people, probably a really deep stretch on the inner thighs here. You might be feeling the stretch in your back as well. And just come into a variation that works for you. And we're just going to take a final couple of breaths here. So turning the attention inwards, closing your eyes, letting the head go, and imagining any stress and tension just dripping off the top of your head, leaving you refreshed and ready for the rest of your day. So you can stay here as long as you like, but if you're finishing now, I'm going to invite you to take one more deep breath in and out, and then gently roll it up, back up to sitting. Walk the knees back in, and then that's where we're going to finish it today. So thank you very much for sharing your practice with me and with everybody else. If you've enjoyed this, please do subscribe, or you'll find lots of other chair yoga sessions on my YouTube channel. I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.